Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on effective mass email sending, how to plan it, how to test it, how to execute it, and how to respond when something goes wrong. It's 3 p.m. sharp where we are, so I think we can start with our presentation. Okay, so first things first, what is mass sending? What volume do we consider mass sending? The general definition says that it's just a one-time or recurring distribution of email messages to a large group of recipients at the same time. But according to email providers such as Gmail, maybe Yahoo or Microsoft, a bulk sender, a mass sender, is a person or a sender who sends more than 5,000 messages in 24 hours during a 24-hour period. And a mass sender must adhere to their rules, their new rules since last year about mass email sending. Why are technical issues so important in mass sending? What should we do? How do we prepare for mass sending? I will tell you in a minute. So first things first, it's obvious, we know it, but we have to repeat it. Mandatory domain authentication, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC with policy at least be none is now required when mass sending to public email providers. Monitoring spam complaint levels, you can do it on your own while receiving feedback loops or in, for example, Yahoo Sender Hub, SESNAM spam complaint panel, or obviously Google Postmaster. What is nice to have is domain alignment, at least SPF domain with return path or return path with DKIM domain, or all of them at the same time. We will talk about domain alignment later a little bit more. Ensuring email sends adhere to RFC 5322 standards. It's a very long RFC, so I recommend you read it. And implementation of one-click unsubscribe. To remind everybody, one-click unsubscribes, one-click unsubscribe button, one-click unsubscribe headers make possible for your recipients to easily unsubscribe from your mailing. And what are the types of mass email sendings with large volumes? There are daily marketing campaigns such as offers, promotions, newsletters, targeted newsletters, terms and conditions and legal mailings, privacy policies, updates, changes to terms and conditions. Obviously, transactional emails, the volumes are a little bit lower, smaller, but they're still can be considered mass mailing. There are emails such as order confirmations, invoices, password resets, registration and such. Automated marketing scenarios, follow-ups, abandoned cart and such, and obviously some mailings that you have to do just on the go, seasonal promotions and announcements. What are the differences between all of those mass mailings? So we have regular mailings and one-time mailings, and regular mailings are maybe easier to execute, easier to run because they are consistent, predictable. Your recipients can predict that they're going to receive them. They help you manage and build connection with your recipients and reputation with email providers. And they have a stable impact on deliverability of your mailings. On the other hand, one-time mailings such as rules and regulations updates or privacy rules updates are occasional, irregular. They're not that popular with recipients. They are not always receiving them well. They can mark them as spam. They can unsubscribe from your mailings. It is a high volume that have to be sent in a short time, which is not easy with the rules that email providers have now, and they do, because of them, there's a higher risk of deliverability problems. So first things that you have to prepare when sending is your sending domain, is your sending infrastructure. And when talking about sending infrastructure, we can have a dedicated and we have a shared IP address. When we talk about a dedicated IP address, it means that only you as a sender can use this IP address to send your mailings, you're the only one that works for the reputation. When it comes to the shared IP address, more than one recipient, more than you, can use this IP address, and thus all of the senders that use it build the reputation, work for the reputation. So you're kind of working with other people for the reputation of this shared IP address. You're dependent on them. Then for mass sending, and not only, you can use an email domain or email subdomain. And on the slide, you can see how does the subdomain look like. So before the main domain, you can add a word, for example, marketing, newsletter, transactional, and so and so and so, and it will indicate what kind of mailing it is. So on the left side, you can see a URL with a subdomain, and on the right side, you can see how does the email address look like when it is in a subdomain and not the main domain name. We recommend using subdomains or completely different domains when sending some privacy protection updates or terms and regulations updates. Other than that, when you have your infrastructure chosen, when you have your domain or subdomain that you will use as a in a from address, you obviously have to authenticate your sending domain or subdomain. And to do that, you have to configure an SPF record, DKIM record, and DMARC record in a policy, at least P none. SPF records gives information to the email provider that the used IP address can use your domain to send emails. DKIM is like a digital signature for your emails, and DMARC tells the email provider what to do with a certain email that doesn't meet the rules of DMARC. When it's PNAN, it's doing nothing, but you can use it to gather reports. When it's P quarantine, the emails will probably be marked as spam, and when it's P reject, the emails can bounce and will probably bounce. What's domain alignment? We talked like 2 minutes ago about domain alignment, what it is, how it should be done, and there you can see on the slide that we have a from address, which is hello@yourdomain.com, and the domain in this address is yourdomain.com. So what's the full alignment like? We have the return path address, and it should also have the same domain or subdomain. We can see it in the first line, hello@yourdomain.com. It is aligned with the from address domain. And then we have our DKIM signature, our digital signature, and in the D tag, there should be the same domain as in the return path address, and obviously the from address. And when in all of those three places the domain is exactly the same, or it's a subdomain of the main from domain, we talk about full domain alignment. We have our infrastructure, we have the domain chosen, it is properly authenticated, how to start sending. If you never used the sending IP before, it's completely new, it has no reputation, or you just bought like totally new domain, it was not also used before, or the mix of those two, the domain and the IP are completely new and have no reputation, they are not recognized by the provider, it is advisable, we recommend it, to do an email warm-up process. And what is an email warm-up process? It is not recommended to send all of your mass mailing, all of the volume at the same time, in the same time to the email provider, because it can bounce, it can be limited, it can be treated as suspicious. So email warm-up means that you're gradually increasing the email volume that is sent. It can take a couple of weeks, it can take a couple of days, it depends how big, how large is the volume that you want to send at the end. So for example, it can be only 5,000 emails, it can be 5 million emails, so it depends actually how many is in the target volume. That's how long will it take to warm up the infrastructure or the domain. And on the next slide is a table And in this table, you can see example volumes that you can choose to send each day in the span of your email warm-up routine plan. So we can see that the initial volume is very small. It's only 100 emails. Obviously, it doesn't need to be 100. It can be a little bit more. We advise senders to adjust it to their own contact base, to their own volumes that they are going to send. And as you can see, at the end, we have 8 million, so our target volume, and it took us 4 weeks to properly warm up the domain or the IP address that we are going to use. If you don't warm up your IP address, or if you send like a burst campaign or a campaign that is significantly larger than your usual volume, you can be met with some email bounces, email deferrals, or limitations on the side of the receiving server of the provider. And on the next slide, I think this is the deferred status, so we will go back. Obviously, where you have bounces, hard bounce, soft bounce, and spam bounce. The first one, hard bounce, occurs where the email address is non-existent, it has typos, the email domain doesn't exist. We have soft bounces where when the inbox is full and the recipient cannot receive your email. And we have spam bounces, for example, when your sending IP is listed on Spam House, Abusix, or for any other reason that the receiving server deemed right. Maybe they have some specific email filters, and that's why you received a spam bounce. Then we have deferred emails. The examples of deferred emails are on the next slide, and I will show you. The deferred emails, it is not the last status that the email can get. It's like an intermediate status when the receiving server cannot, for a little while, receive an email because of some internal limitations, because the inbox of the recipient is full, or when it comes to Gmail, when there's this sudden increase of volume and they think that your campaign is suspicious. So on the next slide, we can see the example messages that you can get back from Gmail receiving server. It may be an unusual rate of unsolicited mail, either from your DKIM domain or your SPF domain, or it will just say that your sending volume is suspicious and they are currently limiting it on their side. We just said that email warm-up is dependent also on your base, on your contact base, and why the base that we use to send emails to cannot be treated as one set of emails. So there are different sources of email addresses. They can be collected via double opt-in, single opt-in. There are some e-commerces that use email addresses that were collected in the stationery shops, so the list is long, and they may have different qualities. They may not be right. They can have typos. They can be non-existent because of that. We have different email providers. Obviously, Gmail, Polish providers, Czech Republic providers, Yahoo can have totally different algorithms and spam filters. So it is wise to adjust your sending to all of those rules before you start sending. We can have different activity levels in between our recipients. They can open the emails and click them regularly. They can not interact at all, or they may even interact in a negative way and unsubscribe from our mailing. Also, different ages and histories of addresses. Be careful with addresses that are a couple or even more years old, because they may be converted into spam traps. We'll talk about spam traps in a while and what it is. And obviously, different sensitivity to mass mailings. You always have to segment your mailings to send targeted emails to boost your engagement. And as I said, what is a spam trap? A spam trap is an email address. You have to remember that it is active. So if you send an email to a spam trap address, it is going to receive an OK status probably. Spam traps are email addresses that are owned by, for example, internet service providers, blacklist providers, some anti-spam organizations. And if you send an email to a spam trap address, they receive a signal that your email-based hygiene is not up to par, and that is why it is wise to maybe filter and look into the older addresses that you have in your base, because usually spam traps are made from inactive addresses, some corporate email addresses that were not used in a long time, and so. Um, Probably, if you send an email to a spam trap address, you are going to get listed either on Spam House, Abusive's blacklist, or on both of them, and then we'll have to initiate the listing process. And remember, if you are listed on Spam House or Abusive's, your emails are probably going to get spam bounced, either by Gmail, Microsoft, or Polish providers. How to plan the volume and frequency of your email sending. So you will always have to go back a couple of sendings and see how well they were received, what are the time intervals in between them, and try not to make a lot of changes in a short time, not to do any sudden increases of volume, not to the length in between your sendings should not be that long, because the providers can forget about you as a sender, and then you will have to warm up your IP or domain from the beginning. And yeah, that is why burst sending harms reputation. It is a warning sign for the providers. They can deem your mailing suspicious. They can limit your mailings, as we previously said. And there is a risk of throttling and then dropping deliverability because of some bounces. What are the good practices of sending? Batching, so sending large volumes in a smaller parts. You have to control the rate of the sending. So if you're using an email service provider, they have their own rates, so make sure to adhere to that. And the retry policy, you have to be smart. If you have some soft bounces, make sure not to retry them that much, so you don't receive more bounces. If you have a recipient that usually does not receive your emails, the inbox is full, it has been full for a long time, it's the most possible that they're not going to receive the emails anymore, and they are not using the mailbox anymore. The other best practices in sending emails in general is, of course, email list management, deleting the addresses that previously got hard bounces. If you are using email apps, we advise you to use the blacklist report in email apps panel. On the blacklist report, you can see the email addresses that received either hard bounce, unsubscribed status, or spam complaint. A spam complaint can be received from Microsoft or one of the Polish email providers. Make sure to honor unsubscribe. If your recipient unsubscribes from the mailing, do not send more emails to them anymore. Remember that Gmail gives maximum 48 hours for you to delete the address from your contact base and not send emails to them anymore. Use user engagement to send your emails, send them to recipients that opened the emails, clicked on the links, use sunset policy. So as I said, if you have recipients that are soft bouncing, usually try not to send emails to them for some time, and they try gradually. And if they are not receiving them anymore, delete them from your contact base. And remember that your unsubscribe mechanism should be compliant with Google requirements. And on the left side of the slide, you can see how the email headers for one-click unsubscribe should look like. If you have your infrastructure, you have your email from domain, you sent your mailing, you did a warm-up or you didn't, how to measure the success of the campaign? We already know from our previous webinars that we should not really use open rate to measure the success. To remind everybody, open rate is an indicator. Total number of opened emails divided by total number of delivered emails. Delivered emails are the ones that got an OK status. If you want a percentage, then we have to do this times 100. And we know that open rate does not guarantee success because there are a couple of um, a couple of providers have a way to scan the emails now, and they are generating false clicks and opens. So it is not wise to use open rate anymore. And one of the examples is Apple's privacy protection. They use the Apple proxy server to hide the original recipient IP address, so you will not receive the true data but the falsified one. And other than that, you can measure and interpret data by measuring the engagement in another way. But first, you will have to choose what engagement do you have to measure. It can be clicking on a specific call to action button. It can be more subscribers to some program or newsletter. It can be more registers to a webinar, for example. And then you can measure a percentage by divided it by all of the delivered emails, the ones that received an OK status, times 100. What else can be done to improve email engagement? We already said that in our previous webinars, and we recommend that you watch the one about open rate. Email personalization, so it can specifically target the needs of your recipient. Email-based segmentation, for example, by activity or engagement. Database hygiene, we already said that, and advanced targeting that you should know. What else? Personalization, we already said. The Accessibility Act is important. You will have to make sure that all of your emails are available to read or see or engaged with by all of your recipients, either the ones that have some visual impairments or neurological impairments. Be sure to A/B test your content so that it is targeted more well, and to create your email content so that it can be opened on some mobile devices. If you have any questions, feel free to reach us, but we prepared some questions beforehand so that we can answer them now. And the first of them is, do I always have to have a dedicated domain and IP if I send more than 5,000 emails a day? Dedicated domain, yes. Dedicated IP address, not always. So it is important to have your dedicated domain to send emails so that you are recognizable for your recipients, that they know that the email came from you. But it is not always advisable to have a dedicated IP address if your volume is very small, because if it is very small and the sendings are infrequent, then it will be difficult for you to build your own reputation, your own sender reputation. The next question is, how long should it take to warm up the IP domain, and what if I have to send the campaign now? It is a difficult question and a difficult situation. It is wise to prepare all of the departments in your company and tell them that you cannot, and maybe you can, but you shouldn't send the campaigns the large volumes in a short amount of time. But if it comes to that, if you have to do that, remember not to send them, for example, in the same hour. If you have to send them in the same day, for example, in the same 24 hours, make sure to divide your campaign into batches. Make sure to see and respond to the bounces of the fares that you receive, and make sure to maybe inform your ESP beforehand that you are planning to send such a campaign. How often should I clean the email base, and what should I do with inactive recipients? It depends. Inactive recipients, as we already said, should be treated with sunset policy. If they're inactive because they receive hard bounces, then obviously they should be deleted from your contact base. If you get unsubscribe and spam complaints, then they should also be deleted from your contact base. And how often should you do that? In my opinion, you should clean your contact base, your email base, after every mass sending. How do I recognize that my mailing has gone to spam, and what can I do then? The easiest way to recognize that your mailing has gone to spam, that your emails are categorized as spam, is the sudden drop in open rate. We know that open rate can be falsified, but then the index is going to be much bigger. If it's suddenly very small, it may indicate that the emails are classified as spam. We also suggest that you can use the seeding list test, create a couple of email inboxes, email addresses that you can send your emails to and see how the classification is going. Remember to switch them every once in a while so that not to teach the algorithms that the emails should be categorized in a certain way. And the last question is, does A/B testing make sense on a large scale? Yes, when it comes to newsletters, promotions, offers, and so the mailings that are going to be targeted, but it doesn't really make sense when you're sending the policy or privacy policy, terms and regulations, terms and conditions, and so updates, because they just have to be received and sent to everybody, and it doesn't really matter what the topic is going to be. They are not very popular among recipients. We already said that, but the more popular mailings, such as, for example, an interesting newsletter and offer, should be tested beforehand. For example, the content. For example, the topic, the subject of your email. We sometimes even recommend to test sender names because they can also trigger spam filters on the side of the provider. So this is everything for today. I can see that there are no questions in the chat. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact us at support@emailapps.io. Have a great rest of your day if you're watching it in the morning, or have a great evening if you're watching it in the afternoon. Many happy sends, 0 bounces, and only the OK statuses. This is what I wish for you. Thank you very much for watching, and bye.